921. Ulu appears. As a result, it was tricked. Seeing everyone's serious faces, the Protoss said that this was just a joke, a lie that made everyone come to the Protoss world together. And the Protoss King is just to celebrate the return of everyone after 7 years of disappearance. Immediately everyone was speechless. It used to be very dignified, but it turned out to be like this. Naruto couldn't help but sweat madly. These Protoss are really... I don't know how to describe it. However, everyone's hearts are very moved. The Protoss would actually think of using this method to celebrate the return for everyone. Everyone's heart is warm. Next, of course, is some singing and dancing, and a hearty meal. Naruto also sat down, eating, drinking and having fun with everyone. I didn't expect that everyone prepared such a rich celebration for us. Lucy said in surprise. Naruto was squeezed among the girls, tasting the wine, and his face was full of satisfaction. In this dreamlike and picturesque world of the celestial spirit, everyone's heart seems to be intoxicated. The King of Star Spirits sits with everyone, eats and chats with everyone in a friendly manner, and the Star Spirits also sit with everyone, chatting and eating. Seeing the peaceful scene in front of him, Naruto was also very happy. Compared with the feelings between people and Protoss are more pure. Above the starry sky, there is such a beautiful place. Naruto murmured. At this moment, a melodious song suddenly sounded. It's the mermaid singing. Old friend, I can see you are there. Old friend, I swear that is absolutely unstoppable bond. Let's go in the endless wilderness. Wipe away tears, move towards tomorrow. For the stars that exist for you. Shine for you. Sing for you. Show your smile. The singing is long and quiet, making people feel comfortable when listening to it, and a warm current flows from the heart. Unconsciously, Urza and Lucy, who were sitting beside Naruto, both leaned on his shoulders, looking intoxicated. Naruto looked up at the starry sky, his eyes flickered, and he didn't know what he was thinking. For a time, everyone was immersed in a sea of joy. It was not until the end of the celebration banquet, when everyone was ready to go back, that everyone woke up from the state of being carried away. Then, Baruge led everyone to leave and return to the original world. After a flash of magic light, Naruto's group all returned to the beach. There was an unending smile on everyone's face. However, just as everyone just appeared, an anxious voice suddenly sounded. Naruto. Where have you been? Why are you only back now? Bishka, what's wrong? What's the hurry? Mirage stepped forward and asked. You don't know, do you? The 3-month training time you promised has come. Bishka looked at everyone in surprise. What? Her words immediately aroused everyone's exclamation. Obviously, I just went to a celebration, ate something, played, and at most it only took a day. How come 3 months have passed? Lord Princess, it's like this. The ratio of the time in the astral world to the time here is equal to 3 months here in 1 day. Therefore, if you spend 1 day in the astral world, it is equivalent to the past 3 months here. Virgin Zabaruj explained to Lucy. The crowd collapsed. Naruto was also dumbfounded. I didn't expect that there is such a law in the celestial spirit realm. Obviously, everyone has traveled to a different spatial dimension, and the time and space in the Protoss world is different from the time and space rules here. Valuge went back, but all the girls were downcast, feeling that disaster was imminent. Because 3 months have passed, and in 3 more days, the great demon fight will begin. Where is the opportunity to train well? It's over. It's really going to be a shame for the guild now. Kana said frantically. Lucy also lamented loudly. Only Urza's fighting spirit is still high. She shouted at everyone, what does this matter? Everyone cheer up. Even if we only have 3 days, we must continue to practice. For 2 days, we are going to do Hellstyle Devil training. Urza roared in high spirits. But all the girls understood that this was just a temporary cramming. At this moment, Naruto suddenly shuddered. I'll leave first. The next moment, he showed excitement, said goodbye to everyone, and disappeared in place. The girls quieted down and looked at each other, surprised by Naruto's sudden abnormality. I didn't expect Naruto to be so rude. On a cliff not far from the beach, several figures were standing and watching. Suddenly, a golden phantom flashed slightly behind them. It's Naruto. Ulu, he blurted out in exclamation. The three quickly turned around. But he saw three beautiful women standing in front of him, looking at him. And these three women, it is Urusha, Melty, and Urusha's mother, Naruto's master, who left his Ulu 7 years ago. Naruto, Ulu called him softly. Mom, it seems that your relationship is really deep. Urusha looked at the scene of the reunion in front of her and smiled lightly. After 7 years, Urusha is already 25 years old, and Ulu is more than 40 years old, but time seems to have not carved any traces on her body. She is still as beautiful and generous as before. Exudes a mature charm. Hearing Urusha's tone, Naruto realized that he had lost his way. He packed up his mood, glanced at Urusha and Melty, and said to Uru, you guys have already recognized each other. Ulu nodded, stretched out his arms and embraced Urusha and Melty, with a gentle smile on his face. Both of them are my daughters. I didn't expect my daughter to die, and finally met it 6 years ago. And Melty became my goddaughter. That's really good. Naruto also had a smile on his face. Yeah, I haven't seen you for 7 years, you are still so young and handsome. Ulu saw the smile on Naruto's face, and a touch of sadness flashed in his eyes. 922, Lies. In the past 7 years, everyone has changed a lot, especially Ulu. She left him because she did not dare to accept the emotional relationship between herself and Naruto, and wandered around the world. During the wandering period, her strength became stronger and stronger. Today's ice magic has long reached the realm of perfection, and her strength has long reached the level of Saint 10. However, she just wandered in obscurity during the 7 years, letting her heart fly around the world. She tried to forget Naruto and see everything between the two. Unfortunately, these are just her delusions. After leaving Naruto and integrating into this colorful world, Yuruban thought that he would be what he originally thought. However, the thoughts and feelings for Naruto have not decreased in the past 7 years, but instead have settled more thoroughly and deeply. The moment she saw Naruto, all the uncontrollable feelings in Ulu's heart broke out. After saying a sentence, she finally couldn't hold back her tears. Naruto, finally, I see you again. Seeing the tears in Ulu's eyes, Naruto's heart also became soft. He walked over and hugged Ulu like no one else. I miss you too, Ulu. Naruto hugged her tightly, buried his head in her long black hair, and took a deep breath. Aside, Urusha and Melty looked at each other with a strange expression on their faces. For a long time, Naruto separated from her. Ulu wiped away his tears and smiled embarrassedly. I am really embarrassed, let Urusha and Melty see this gaffe. No, I know mommy you are very happy now, that's enough. Urusha smiled. Melty also nodded heavily. It's great to have the two of you, Ulu said with a tearful smile. This moment of reunion is undoubtedly a joy for Naruto and Ulu. Seeing Ulu finally appearing in front of him, Naruto finally let go of his worries, and seeing Naruto grow into such a high-spirited spirit, Ulu also had a kind of happy and complicated emotion in his heart. Afterwards, the four of them sat on a stone in the woods and chatted intimately. Ulu said that after she left, she wandered around the world, and it didn't take long for her to meet Urusha and Melty. She met her daughter, and finally explained everything and put it all away. Because Urusha had been thinking about what Naruto had said before, her resentment towards Ulu disappeared little by little. When Ulu also wanted her daughter to express her guilt and longing, the two hugged each other at once, crying bitterly. Later, they also understood that it was all a conspiracy set up by the god of death Hades against Urusha. At the beginning, he took a fancy to Urusha's powerful magical talent, and then he designed her to fake her death, making Ulu mistakenly think that her daughter was dead, and then made her wake up to see Ulu died because of her daughter's death. The scene of cultivating disciples wholeheartedly. This misunderstanding was planted between the two to manipulate Urusha's feelings. But the misunderstanding is a misunderstanding after all. After Naruto's reprimand, the Ulu mother and daughter met and told all the truth. The awakened Urusha finally understood the fact that she had been blinded by hatred for so many years, and she couldn't help feeling greatly. And Melty has already expressed her feelings to Urusha, and she is willing to follow Urusha and be with her forever. In this way, the three of them are together, walking around the world, eradicating evil and promoting good, to make up for the sins Urusha has done over the years. The three formed a new guild, the Witch's Sin. This is a guild named after Urusha's confession, independent of any organization. There are only 3 members, a mother and daughter. Hearing this, Naruto couldn't help but sigh with emotion. It's really suffering, Ulu. No, I'm very satisfied to find my daughter and be with her. Ulu shook his head with a look of guilt. I just feel sorry for you. Naruto smiled and said, I'm very happy that you can come back here now. We'll be together in the future. To be honest, Ulu suddenly came to him, which was indeed a very pleasant surprise. Naruto had already made up his mind. This time, he couldn't let her go without saying anything. Just when he hugged her just now, he had already set Hiraishin coordinates on her. In this way, she can no longer leave her sight. Naruto knew that although he was domineering, he was actually angry and left his Ulu for no reason, but he was very worried. For so long, Ulu has always been his beloved woman, no one can replace. It was she who saved herself when she first came to this world, she taught herself the first magic, she gave herself the first place to live, and she gave herself meticulous care. Therefore, Naruto must not let her leave him. However, when Naruto finished saying this, Ulu shook his head with a smile and said angrily, how can I be with you all the time? You always have to marry a wife and have children. I am the master, I can't rely on you all the time. After a pause, she smiled faintly again. Also, over the past few years, I have also found Urusha's father. In a few days, we are going to live with him together, and today is the same day. You say goodbye. What? Naruto was stunned when he heard it. Urusha's father. That is Ulu's husband. Hey, what's going on? Naruto felt like he was struck by lightning, but he felt like he was about to go mad. His emotions were extremely complicated, and he just wanted to roar up to the sky. Seeing Naruto's appearance, Ulu's eyes flashed a little bit of pain and unbearableness, but then he became firm again. Urusha and Melty on the side looked at her and opened their mouths, but they never said anything. The scene fell silent for a while, like a dead silence. After a long time, Naruto finally said, Ulu, is everything you said true? Ulu hesitated for a moment, then nodded again. Then, let me go with you and meet that man, Naruto said suddenly and firmly. 923. Ascension. Ulu was slightly surprised, but Naruto did not expect such a thing. This made her panic all of a sudden. It's not convenient for me to take you there now. Next time, you can come next time, Ulu hurriedly said. Naruto frowned, seeing her suddenly anxious appearance. Everything in his heart suddenly came to his senses. He took a step forward, approached Ulu. His clear eyes looked directly into her eyes. Ulu, I just want to know, are you happy with that man now? If that man treats you badly, I will definitely beat him up until he can't get up. My current strength has surpassed that of Saint Ten. Even if he is the head of the Holy Ten, I can help you teach him a lesson. Looking at Naruto's sincere and clear eyes, Ulu's eyes flickered, and she didn't dare to look at him at all. When she heard his words, the original decision she made in her heart disintegrated little by little. Suddenly, at this moment, a few crisp voices came from behind the 4 of them. Naruto, so you are here. It's really easy for us to find it. The 4 of them came back to their senses and looked behind. It was Urza, Mirage, Lucy and the others. Are you, Urusha? Urza stepped forward and saw Urusha at a glance. Her complexion suddenly changed, a flash of light flashed in her hand, and a long sword appeared with a thud. The others were also nervous, and they all showed a look of alertness. Naruto frowned and said, "Calm down, they are not enemies." Hearing Naruto's reminder, Erza withdrew her weapon, and everyone else relaxed. Naruto said so, and everyone would no longer doubt it. Besides, with him, no accident would happen. What the hell is going on? Erza and the others asked. Then, Naruto explained it to them. After a round of explanation, everyone finally understood that the hostility to Arusha was also eliminated, and instead they began to sympathize with her experience. At this time, Arusha looked at everyone and suddenly smiled and said, "You must be worried about the great demon's martial arts fight right now. I have a way to make you improve your strength in a short time." The girls were slightly startled. Arusha smiled faintly. "Before this, I have helped Natsu and Cut-You to improve once, and now their strength has improved a lot. This time, I am here to help you improve your strength." "Oh. You can actually improve your strength. What is the method?" Naruto interrupted at this time and asked. "Using the arc of my time, this magic has been improved by me and can already act on the human body," Arusha explained. Naruto was stunned for a moment, only then did he realize that Arusha's time magic was definitely a bug in Naruto's view. He himself had done research and wanted to learn time-related magic, but found that he could not learn it. So it can only give up. However, although this time magic is powerful, it is more mysterious than space magic, but it has many restrictions. It cannot act on the human body at first, and can only act on dead objects without life. Unexpectedly, Arusha has improved it so that it can affect people. This cannot help but make Naruto also interested. However, before that, I also have an important matter that I want to discuss with you. The three of Arusha looked at each other, and then said to everyone, "In the annual Great Demon Fighting and Martial Arts, we all noticed when a strange breath appeared. That breath was very similar to Jarev's breath, but we couldn't find out anything, so this time I want you to help us find out the true face of that breath." "Oh, there is such a thing." Naruto touched his nose and said strangely, "You said that the breath is very similar to Jarev, but are you sure it's not Jarev?" "Yes, if it was Jarev, we wouldn't be able to perceive his existence at all." Ulu also said at this time, "The witch's sin we established is to wash away the sins before Arusha. The darkness related to Jarev, we have to eliminate it without leaving any room for it." "Okay, I have written down this matter, and I will definitely solve it for you at that time." Naruto nodded. Naruto's answer made Arusha heave a sigh of relief. Next, Arusha helped the girls improve their strength. Although the process was very hard, Lucy and the others all persevered and were very satisfied with their reborn state. "Okay, now our mission is over, it's time to leave." After helping China Brigade improve its strength, the three of Arusha said goodbye to Naruto in the forest. Because of the improvement of their strength, Erza and the others are now stepping up their time to adapt and train. Therefore, at this time, only Naruto and Ulu were left. "Ulu, I haven't finished what I said just now. Since you are determined to leave, take me to see that man," Naruto said lightly. A troubled look appeared on Ulu's face. Arusha sighed slightly when she saw her mother's expression. "Naruto, why do you care so much about my affairs? Let the past things pass," Ulu sighed. Naruto smiled slightly. "I just want to see the man you mentioned, it's not a big deal." Like a mirror in his heart, Ulu reappeared in front of him 7 years later and said those words, but he just wanted to give up, right? It seems that Ulu is still the original idea. Ulu was speechless. At this moment, Naruto suddenly stepped forward and put his arms around her. "I forbid you to leave again," he said domineeringly. Ulu suddenly panicked. She was overwhelmed by Naruto's sudden movements, so she could only stay in his arms, her mouth open, speechless. No matter how firm her heart is, she can't keep it at this time. Her lies are so powerless that she can't even convince herself, so how can she convince Naruto? Yes, Ulu never found a previous husband at all, even she never had a husband from the beginning, when she gave birth to Arusha, she was even a virgin. And over the years, she has also been looking for the reason. But they found nothing. When explaining to Arusha, she did not tell the truth, but told her that her father was dead. Therefore, at this moment, facing Naruto's insistence, Ulu can no longer maintain the previous decision. She is shaken. 924. Forbidden Love. And just when Ulu's expression showed such hesitation, Naruto suddenly lowered his head and choked her warm lips. Suddenly, the three people present were shocked. Ulume's eyes widened, staring at Naruto, who stabilized her. Arusha also opened her mouth slightly, looking at Naruto kissing her mother. She didn't know how she felt. Melty's face was also slightly yuhi, and her eyes flashed with a strange look. After a long time, Naruto let go of her. How is it, Ulu? Now I have announced in front of your two daughters, you are my woman. Naruto said with a smile. He glanced at Arusha and Melty. Both of them were expressionless. Yuhi glanced away, not daring to look at him. This is so embarrassing. Ulu's face turned yuhi, and at this moment he was as overwhelmed as a little girl. Mom, Melty and I are going to take a walk elsewhere. Arusha realized something and quickly pulled Melty away. A smile appeared on Naruto's face. Look, Arusha and Melty didn't say anything. Ulu's beautiful eyes were full of shy eyes. She was lying in Naruto's arms, and she didn't know what to say at this moment. Not far away, Arusha and Melty came to the end of the forest, which was a cliff. The two sat down, looked at each other, and couldn't help but look like yuhi. They are also disturbed by what happened between Naruto and Ulu. Before that, Arusha always thought that the relationship between Naruto and Ulu was just a master-disciple relationship, but later, with the tone and expression of the two, she saw that the relationship between the two was not so pure. Now I finally understand that my mother actually had a forbidden love with Naruto. This, just thinking about it, makes people face yuhi. However, in the hearts of Arusha and Melty, there is no resistance to such feelings at all, and they even think it is really romantic. Hey, Arusha, what is love? Melty suddenly asked quietly. Love, I don't know about this either. Arusha sighed slightly. Her youth was full of hatred, and she had been planning and calculating everything for 20 years. For her, things like love were simply superfluous. But now, when Arusha calmed down, when she saw the lingering feelings between her mother and Naruto, she also had an inexplicable longing in her heart. She longed to get such a love like her mother. Hey, I said, Arusha, do you want love? Melty asked another question. Arusha was suddenly speechless. She really had a hard time answering this question, but between Melty and Melty, she felt that she didn't need to hide her thoughts. Of course, there is no woman in this world who doesn't yearn for love. Melty, you are still young, you will understand later. Really, Arusha, do you have a goal now? Melty giggled. I haven't yet, but a woman like me is destined to not get love, because, I'm full of sins, and I'm so dirty that no man likes to touch me. Arusha said with a gloomy look. That's not it. Arusha, you are very kind, I always knew that. Melty looked at her stubbornly. Hearing this, Arusha smiled, put her arms around Melty's shoulders, and said softly, it's nice to meet you. The two sat there for a while, and when they went back, they found that Naruto and Ulu were already chatting happily. Mom, it seems that you have made a pleasant decision. Arusha stepped forward and said. Just now, after the two daughters left, Ulu finally stopped suppressing his feelings, and threw himself into Naruto's arms to vent and release his feelings. I haven't seen each other for 7 years. For Naruto, it may be just a little time for a virtual trip, but for Ulu, it is countless days and nights of thoughts. However, she has endured until now, but she still wants to let Naruto leave her against her will. Not for anything else, but because she felt that she should not delay Naruto and influence Naruto. In her opinion, she is just a Twilight woman, and being able to have sex with Naruto in such an uninhabited place in the extremely cold land is already the greatest happiness bestowed by God. how could she dare to keep shamelessly staying by Naruto's side to delay him? After all, Naruto is so young and handsome, and his strength is so powerful, he should have better girls by his side, not an old woman like himself. However, after all, she couldn't go against her heart, and couldn't be ruthless and let herself leave Naruto. When he said some soft words in her ear, her heart became active all of a sudden, as if she had returned to the years when she was 18 years old and in the extremely cold land. Yulusha, Melty, I decided not to leave, let's find a place to stay in Magnolia tomorrow. Ulu said with a smile. Urusha and Melty looked at each other and nodded with a smile. Okay, Mom, you should also find a place to live in peace. Yes, but I hope you don't say anything about me and Naruto. Ulu Wei Yuhi warned her two daughters with a slight face. Although she herself has accepted her willingness to stay, she still does not want everyone to know what happened between her and Naruto. Don't worry, Mom. Urusha nodded heavily. Ulu's matter was finally resolved, and Naruto finally persuaded her to let her return to her side. However, another thing weighed heavily on his mind. That is to confess to the girls about themselves and let them know that there are other women at the same time. This matter, if it is not like what everyone said clearly, he will also feel uneasy in his heart. He gained the sincere feelings of the girls, but at the same time concealed them. He felt that it was unfair to everyone, and it was the most correct way to let everyone agree. Therefore, he made up his mind to explain this matter to everyone. This made Naruto, who has never been nervous and restless all the time, feeling uneasy. To him, it seemed like a big thing. If he couldn't handle it properly, the ending would definitely break his heart. In the first two worlds, I have been recognized by the girls, but this world has not yet been marked. This matter is urgent. 925. The two fly together. However, Naruto doesn't plan to tell everyone about it now, because he is about to participate in the Great Demon Fight and perform martial arts, which is related to the honor of the guild. Then I decided to explain it to everyone after the end of the Great Demon Fight. Soon, Naruto brought the girls back to Magnolia City. After these 3 months, the guild has relocated from the dilapidated tavern to its original location. After returning to the guild, Urza and the others said goodbye to Naruto, saying that they would practice in various ways, hoping that Naruto would not disturb them in the past 2 days, otherwise they would definitely be distracted. When Naruto heard their admonitions, he couldn't help laughing and crying. After that, Naruto went to arrange accommodation with Ulu and the others. Because the three decided to live here first, if there is no place to live, it will not work. In the end, after being busy until the afternoon, Ulu and the others found a good place, not far from where Naruto lived, and also in the suburbs. Then the three of Ulu started to get busy and started to decorate their new home. Naruto went back to his home, met Biska and Halentia, told them what happened today, and told the two girls about the relationship between him and Ulu. Halentia and Biska have already accepted that Naruto has other women, so after hearing about Ulu, they were just very surprised and didn't blame him. However, hearing that Naruto had an affair with Ulu long ago, Biska couldn't help joking. Naruto, I didn't expect you to like mature women. Ulu is only in her 40s, what kind of mature woman? Halentia gave Biska a sideways glance. Speaking of which, she is a dragon slayer magician, with strength stronger than ordinary dragons, and she is hundreds of years old. If Ulu is a mature woman, isn't she an old woman? Obviously, Ulu was just a joke in front of Halentia. However, Biska still doesn't know the true identity of Halentia. Although the two women are already very familiar with each other, Halentia also feels that there is no need to reveal her previous identity. It's good as it is now. Just kidding. Naruto is so powerful and good, even if he finds another 100 women, it will be fine. Biska stuck out her tongue. She remembered the scene when she and Naruto were happy, and she knew Naruto well with that powerful function. 1 or 2 women simply can't satisfy him. Therefore, although she is inevitably a little sour in her heart, she will not resist. Naruto was a little embarrassed by Bisca's teasing, so embarrassed, he immediately rushed over and firmly grasped her chest with both hands. "Oh, Naruto, don't do this." Bisca cried out in shame, but there was Halentia next to her. Halentia snorted in shame, and quickly turned around to stop looking. However, Naruto suddenly pulled her over, holding both of them in one hand and one chest. In comparison, Bisca's is bigger than Halentia's, but Halentia's chest is softer, and the two different touches bring Naruto more experience, and he is excited for a while. "Hey, why don't the three of us sleep together in the bedroom today?" Naruto suggested with a smile. Both Bisca and Halentia were ashamed to talk to Yuhi. Chi-Chi didn't turn her head to ignore him, but there was no obvious refusal in their mouths. Naruto still can't see it. This is the meaning of acquiescence. He was even more excited. After a little while, after hurriedly eating dinner, and finally staying up until dark, seeing the two girls still sitting in the living room, Naruto was anxious. "I said, is it time for us to rest?" The two women spat softly and glared at him secretly. "I just finished eating, take a break to digest and digest," Bisca said. Halentia said, "The night view outside is very beautiful, it should be appreciated at this time." Naruto was speechless. It seems that if they don't take the initiative, neither of these two women will take the initiative to go back to the room. The next moment, he suddenly jumped to the side of the two women, put his arms around their slender waists, and hugged them. "I'm so tired today, I have to rest early." After he finished speaking, regardless of whether the two women answered or not, he pushed them into the room semi-forced. Closing the door, the two women's bodies suddenly tense up. They looked at each other and turned their heads away together, with two magnificent yuhi blooming on their faces. Okay, go to sleep." Naruto grinned, took off his clothes, and lay naked in the middle of the bed, looking at the two women. Seeing his anxious look, the two women were extremely shy and stared at him secretly, not knowing what to do next. Naruto is of course very excited. He used to have sex with girls one by one, but now the two come together, this experience is very rare. For him, this is a milestone in this world. Able to have sex with two women means that it is not far from sleeping with the big quilt. Really, is this the strongest? Finally revealed his true nature. Lustful guy. Bisca snorted, but got into bed awkwardly. Hey, lust has nothing to do with strength. When Naruto saw her go to bed, he immediately put his arms around her tender body, gave her a long kiss on the lips, and looked at Halentia. Halentia walked over slowly. Yuhi lowered his head and leaned against him lightly. Naruto wrapped his arms around the two girls, one in each hand, and he couldn't help but feel very good. However, he also knew how rare it was for the two women to make this decision, so after hugging them, he didn't say more, and went straight to the topic, and walked around the two women's bodies with his hands. It didn't take a moment for both of them to be completely stripped off by him. The two tender bodies appeared in front of Naruto, and under the light, they seemed to be so perfect and tempting. Naruto, let's turn off the lights," Halentia said to Yuhi with a shy face. When she saw Bisca on the opposite side, she was also naked. Some trembling. Yes, Bisca quickly agreed. She was also similar to Halentia. This was the first time serving Naruto with Halentia. This kind of thing is really embarrassing. Therefore, both of them asked to turn off the lights. After all, after turning off the lights, each other would not be able to see each other's shyness, so they felt better. 926. Naruto smiled and largely agreed with the two women's opinions. The moment he turned off the light, he clearly felt the two women's tight bodies loosen slightly. Hey, now, I'll start tasting. Naruto smiled and blew in the ears of the two girls. After two babbles, Naruto's hands began to caress and touch the two women's bodies. However, although Naruto's hands kept teasing the bodies of the two women, and he could clearly feel the changes in the bodies of the two women resisted and did not make a sound. They seemed to be ashamed to make that kind of sound in front of others, so they just suppressed their pleasant moans. What a lovely reaction. Naruto laughed secretly. His hands suddenly drew circles on the two women's acacia beans, and at the same time, a burst of green energy was released from his fingertips, which slightly vibrated and stimulated the sensitive parts of the two women. What? I didn't expect Naruto to apply magic to sex. This is simply unprecedented. How could the two women think of this? The sensitive part of their chests only felt a strange heat flow along there and spread to the whole body, and invaded deep into the bones. An uncontrollable tingling sensation came from my heart. They couldn't help but tremble slightly, and twisted slightly. At the same time, a pair of slender thighs were also clamped and gently rubbed. Ming, Naruto, you are so nasty. Halentia finally couldn't help but let out a long groan, and then her delicate body shook for a while, and she actually let it out. She gasped and sighed, and then she was speechless. Hylantia, what's the matter with you? Bisca couldn't see Hylantia's state in the dark. She only heard her humiliating groan and stopped moving. Has it reached the climax? Naruto hasn't inserted it yet. So sensitive. Naruto smiled, turned over and pressed down on Bisca, whispering in her ear, "You'll know after you experience it." Before she could finish speaking, Naruto separated her thighs with his hands, his body sank suddenly, and he entered deeply. Ah! Bisca let out a soft snort, her small mouth opened into an O shape, and she couldn't help but stop breathing. She realized that her voice was too embarrassing, and quickly covered her mouth with her hand. At this time, Naruto put his hands together, lingering on her chest, and at the same time, his waist moved up and down again and again. Woohoo! Woohoo! Bisca covered her mouth and tried not to let herself make a sound, but Naruto's body was madly attacked by Naruto, and she felt like she was burning from the outside to the inside, and she couldn't restrain the pleasure at all. There was a hint of suppressed moan in her throat, but it made Naruto even more excited. He accelerated his body movements again, and at the same time applied a trace of energy to his lower body, which gradually penetrated into her body as he twitched back and forth. This is life energy. It is the energy that nourishes all things. How could Bisca resist? In an instant, she felt an inexplicable pleasure between her legs. It was stronger and better than before. This feeling quickly spread to her whole body, making her whole body tense up. The next moment, her hand could no longer cover her mouth, but instead grabbed the sheet tightly, and at the same time, a high-pitched long cry came out from her mouth. At the same time, her body arched high, her two pure white and tender thighs were tense, and the trembling of her whole body spread to her calf and white tender toes. Her delicate body trembled for more than a minute before slowly loosening, and then she lay flat on Naruto's body, panting and sweating profusely. In the darkness, Naruto could see the wonderful expression and contented verve on her face. Unexpectedly, applying life energy to making love can produce such an effect. Looking at Bisca's appearance, it was obvious that she had reached the most wonderful orgasm. She slowly pulled out of her body, brought out a piece of crystal-clear liquid, and then looked at Halantia. At this time, Hylantia had been so ashamed by Bisca's reaction that she buried her head under the pillow. She was lying on the bed, and she didn't dare to go and hear such shameful things. Naruto laughed secretly, and while she was not paying attention, he pressed his body on her tender body again, stretched out his arms to hug her lower abdomen from behind, lifted her upturned buttocks, slightly separated, and then mounted the gun. Forge ahead. Ah! Halantia screamed from under the pillow, and was attacked by Naruto into her body from behind. This time, she directly pressed into the deepest part of her body, to the bottom of her heart. The big bed was swaying, the woman on the bed let out a suppressed moan, and accompanied by the sound of physical collision, a confusing affair was staged in the room. The next morning, the sun came in directly from the windows and sprinkled on the faces of the three of Naruto. Naruto woke up and looked at him. The three of them were all covered with quilts. Halantia's head was curled up on his left shoulder, and his arms were wrapped around his chest. Bisca's jade face it was attached to his head, and his hands were tightly wrapped around his neck. And the two thighs of the two women were all tightly entangled in their bodies, like octopus. He recalled the absurdity of last night, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help showing a pleasant smile. This kind of thing is rare because the process is so wonderful. Last night, he fought with the two women's football teams for 3 or 4 hours, and didn't fall asleep until the early hours of the morning. During this time, Naruto tried all kinds of moves, from being conservative at the beginning to being bold at the back. Especially in the end, Naruto put the two women who had been confused by himself on top of each other, opened the wonderful jade buttocks, revealing 2 pink jade holes, so that the two people's love water soaked together. Then he attacked frantically, going up and down for a while, making the two women lewd. In the end, he had no scruples at all. I don't know how many times he orgasmed, and the whole bedsheet was wet. However, although it feels good to have sex with two people, Shuangfei feels very good, but he is still not completely satisfied, but still looks a little unfulfilled. If only there were a few more. Naruto thought, next time I really have to figure out a way to get a big quilt to sleep with. Of course, the premise is that all women are willing to follow themselves and know each other, so that there is hope. And now, there is still some distance from this goal. 927. Ulu's house. After lying on the bed for a while, Naruto was ready to get up. With a slight movement of the body, 2 lazy chirps sounded. Afterwards, Bisca and Helentia opened their sleepy eyes and looked at him. Naruto, is it done? Naruto smiled and saw that the two girls obviously hadn't slept enough and looked tired. He kissed them on the foreheads respectively. I'll go out to exercise first. You must have been tired yesterday, so let's continue. Go to sleep. After he finished speaking, he got up and got dressed. The two women's faces were slightly yuhi, and they looked at each other. They both remembered the shameful incident last night, and buried their heads under the quilt together. After washing up and leaving the room, Naruto only felt refreshed, jumped to the roof, and took a deep breath. It's such a nice weather today, he murmured, releasing the power in his body and merging with the whole nature, as if he had a little more understanding in his heart. At Naruto's current state, the improvement of magic power has no effect on him. Today, he can connect his whole body with the power of this world, and use it at will. This is the power of the source of power. By the way, I don't know what happened to Ulu and the others. Naruto thought that Ulu had just moved in, so he wanted to see it. Speaking of which, he hasn't made out with Ulu for a long time. When he first met yesterday, he couldn't help it, but because Yulusha and the others were on the side, he didn't take any action. Whatever he said today, he had to comfort Ulu. Lu will do it. He turned slightly, and the next moment he appeared on another treetop. Although he had already put a space marker on Ulu, it was better for him to rush to her house. After all, he didn't know what Ulu was doing now. After a while, Naruto appeared at the door of Ulu and the others. As soon as he arrived at the door, he saw Urusha and Melty in the garden in front of the house. Urusha was wearing a tight black dress, with transparent black stockings and a pair of long tubes boots. Her entire figure is as graceful as her mother's, eyebrow-length bangs, waist-length supple long hair, and a young and charming face, people can't help but imagine. At this moment, she was watering the flowers with a jug of water in her hands. Her calm and peaceful appearance was completely different from when she was the 7th dependent of Purgatory, and she no longer had that evil and dangerous aura on her body. Beside her, Melty has also grown from a little girl to the beautiful big girl she is today. The stalwart on her chest does not need to be inferior to Urusha. She has long pink hair and is even more lively and lovely. At this time, they also saw Naruto coming. Urusha stepped forward to say hello. Naruto, good morning, why are you here? Naruto smiled slightly, walked up and looked at the two of them and said, let's see how you live, it looks pretty good now, what about Ulu? Hee, it turned out to be looking for my mother, she is preparing breakfast in the house. Melty winked at him with a smile. Oh, then I'll go in and have a look. Naruto walked directly through the door after passing through the two of them. Ulu looked at Naruto's figure entering the room, and uttered aloud, looked at Melty for a long time, smiled and said with emotion, "Mom is really happy." "Yes, but we are also very happy now." Melty looked at Ulu and smiled. "Well, that's true." Urusha nodded with a smile. Naruto, who entered the house, looked at this warm little home, full of feminine gentleness everywhere, and nodded in satisfaction. "Who is it?" asked Ulu, who heard the movement in the kitchen. Naruto smiled. He walked over lightly, entered the kitchen, and his eyes couldn't help but light up. "I saw Ulu wearing a beige one-piece short skirt with hips and a white floral apron on the outside. His long black hair was casually draped over his shoulders. His S-curve was flawless and his waist was slender. The buttocks are very upturned." With just one glance, Naruto couldn't help but stepped forward and hugged her from behind with lightning speed. "Ah!" A soft whistle came from Ulu's mouth. "Naruto, Naruto." Naruto smiled. "Of course it's me. You should have sensed my breath when I entered the room, right?" "Really? Why are you here?" Ulu's face was slightly yuhi. She was held by Naruto in her arms, smelling the good smell on his body. Her heart was a little drunk. "I came to see you. You are so beautiful today." Naruto put his hands on her smooth belly, feeling the delicate and smoothness of his hands, and stuck out his tongue to lick her crystal earlobes. Immediately, Ulu's whole body trembled, leaning against his chest weakly, and he seemed to be moaning, "It's not honest in the morning. I'm cooking." "Hey, that's just right. I haven't eaten it yet. Speaking of which, I haven't eaten breakfast made by Ulu for a long time." Naruto smiled and sighed. "Yeah, Naruto, it's been 7 years. I'm sorry, I didn't fulfill my responsibility as a woman." Ulu sighed suddenly. Naruto smiled slightly, and his palms suddenly reached up, climbing up her plump and soft twin peaks. "What are you talking about? Now I'm very satisfied. By the way, you are bigger and stronger here than before." "Ah, dishonest guy." Ulu's chest was restrained, his body was soft, and he could no longer make breakfast. She turned her head and glared at him coquettishly. Naruto was already hungry and thirsty by her appearance, and before she could turn around, he kissed her, and at the same time a pair of big hands caressed her plump and elastic twin peaks recklessly. With a soft moan, Ulu turned around quietly, a pair of jade arms wrapped around his shoulders, and kissed him fiercely, almost to the point of being carried away. She hasn't made out with Naruto for 7 years, and her body has been empty for a long time after being separated, and now it is unbearable to be slightly stimulated by Naruto. Naruto felt her passion, and he couldn't care less. He pressed her delicate body against the wall of the kitchen, stretched out his arms and hugged her fair and tender thigh, and was ready to take the gun into battle. However, at this moment, a voice came from the side. "Mom, Naruto, you two pay attention. How can you be like this here?" Naruto hurriedly turned his head, but it turned out that it was Urusha and Melty, whose faces were full of yuhi. 928. Go to the Imperial City. He and Ulu hurriedly separated. Then he looked awkwardly at the two women who suddenly appeared in the house. Uluyu's face was ashamed of Yuhi. She turned around and dared not look at them. Just like a little girl who was caught doing something wrong, she was ashamed and embarrassed. Naruto was also very embarrassed, but his old face was still very thick, so he quickly slapped him and asked, "Why did you two come in?" We're here for breakfast." Urusha quickly defended, but she was also shy with Yuhi. I'm still making breakfast. You guys go out quickly." Only then did Ulu realize that her work wasn't over yet, and she was so embarrassed that she quickly pushed everyone out together. Yuhi's heartbeat on her face. In the living room, the three of Naruto were sitting there. Urusha and Melty had the faces of Yuhi, and kept looking at him. Naruto calmed down, although it was embarrassing just now, but after thinking about it, it didn't matter. Anyway, they all knew about themselves and Ulu. "I'm going to help my mother cook." Unable to bear the awkward atmosphere, Urusha hurried into the kitchen. Wait for me. I'll go too." Melty quickly followed Arusha into the kitchen. Naruto sat in the living room with a faint smile on his face. The former 7 family members of Purgatory, the mastermind behind the planning of the Tower of Paradise, and the witch who mastered time magic, are now so cute. He also had a special feeling. After a while, the 3 Ulu came out of the kitchen with a few delicious breakfasts. The 4 of them started to eat. Ulu always had a smile on his face, constantly serving dishes to Arusha and Melty, and also serving Naruto from time to time, looking extremely gentle. However, Arusha and Melty quickly finished their meal and left the room with a goodbye, leaving the rest of the time to Naruto and Ulu. Seeing the 2 daughters leave in a hurry, Naruto, who understood what they meant, looked at each other and smiled. Naruto opened his mouth and said, "It's really 2 kind girls." Ulu nodded, covering his mouth and chuckling. Without the 2 light bulbs, Naruto and Ulu chatted intimately. The 2 talked about the past, and about Ulu's life in the past 7 years, and unknowingly finished breakfast. Ulu began to pack up. Naruto sat on the side, watching her busy appearance. His heart was full of emotion. 7 years later, Ulu is more gentle than before, and has gradually become a good wife and mother. Although neither of the 2 daughters belonged to Naruto, Naruto also had a very warm feeling in his heart. After finishing packing, before Ulu could sit down, Naruto stepped forward and hugged her tender body. "Naruto, what are you doing?" Ulu felt his heavy breathing, and already realized what was going on in her heart. After asking this sentence, she closed her beautiful eyes and waited for the next development. She is also very eager to make out with Naruto, and her temporary restraint is just a fake. "Really, of course I was doing what was interrupted just now." Naruto laughed and picked her up, opened the bedroom door and went in, placing her on the big bed. Locking the door, looking at Ulu lying on the bed with a face full of shame, Naruto took off his clothes and threw himself on it. This time, absolutely no one will bother. Ulu Jukuong's body brought Naruto an extremely pleasant enjoyment, and the room was full of tempting moans for a while. I don't know how long it took before Naruto left Ulu's room. 2 days later, the great demon fight is finally about to begin. The leader Makarov led everyone to the capital of the Kingdom of Ophelia. Urza and the others have already completed their training, and their magic power has been greatly improved. The people who went together this time included almost all the elite members of the guild. At noon that day, everyone arrived at the capital of the kingdom. Naruto has been to this place once, but at that time he flew directly over it. Now, walking down to earth on the street and entering the city has a different flavor. There are flowers almost everywhere on the streets, and the city is also known as the capital of flowers. Compared with Magnolia, I don't know how many times more prosperous. It's so beautiful. When the girls came to the street full of flowers, they all sighed like this. I've never been to such a big city. Wendy's eyes were full of curiosity and joy. As expected of the capital, where is our destination this time? Urza asked while looking around. After everyone came here, Makarov and Mikao went through the formalities and left Naruto, Natsu, Gray, and Urza on the street. Just after Urza asked her question, a huge light suddenly lit up on the street, and in the light, a huge holographic image appeared in the center of the city. Everyone who came to the competition, hello everyone, I'm Pumpkin. Welcome everyone. The figure in the hologram was a man with a strange pumpkin on his head. He seemed to be the host of the game. Next, please select 5 contestants from each guild to form a team, participate in the competition, and be sure to arrive at the hotel before 12 o'clock in the evening. If you do not arrive at the hotel within the specified time, it will be regarded as a waiver. Pumpkin. After the host announced the news and gave the hotel's address, the hologram disappeared. You are all here. At this time, Makarov came over after handling the matter and said to everyone, I have already decided the 5 people we have selected to participate this time. Which 5 are they? Everyone exclaimed. Because neither Gildas nor Laxus were in the guild at this time, only Natsu, Gray, Urza and the others could participate. In the end, Makarov selected Nazgri, Urza, Lucy, and Wendy to compete. Everyone was surprised by this decision. I didn't expect that the chairman did not count Naruto. If it is a normal thing to participate in a competition, the probability of choosing Naruto to win is definitely the highest, right? For everyone's question, Makarov seemed very calm. He smiled mysteriously, and glanced at Naruto. 929. Taunt. Naruto smiled lightly, but he knew the inside story. The reason why the contestants chose Urza and the others this time, and did not count themselves, was actually because the old man had other arrangements. In fact, he had secretly formed a team of Naruto, Laxus, Mirage, Juvia, and Kana. Keep a hand. Laxus has disappeared since 7 years ago, and has been hiding somewhere to cultivate in secret until recently when the members of the serious group reappeared before returning to the guild. During the period, Makarov was going to appoint Gildas as the 5th generation president, but Gildas left, and he could only serve as the leader in the end, but Laxus also returned to the guild and became a member of everyone. Although he has a flamboyant and cruel personality, he still has feelings for the old man. He has devoted himself to cultivation during the 7 years when Fairy Tail was coldly received, and has only appeared until now, just to make a blockbuster and win the most dazzling results for the guild. Before setting off, Naruto met Laxus in secret and was taken aback by his aura. His strength had definitely undergone earth-shaking changes. As for Mirage, Naruto did not agree with her to participate in this competition, but after training, Mirage was able to unlock the original magic seal, and now she can freely use and accept magic, the power of Satan. Therefore, there is no doubt about her strength, which is almost on par with Urza. Not to mention Naruto himself. If everyone participates in this big magic fight to compete for rankings, then to him, all this is just playing. His strength is no longer on the same level as everyone else. He came to participate in this big demon fight. First, he wanted to see the solar eclipse plan, and he also wanted to find out the whereabouts of Jerav and Hyelong. However, the strength of Kana and Juvia is considered to be at the bottom of the 5. After the arrangement, Makarov, Mikao and others left, and Laxus did not know where to go. It is estimated that he returned to the hotel. Naruto, Urza, Mirage, Wendy, Lucy, Kana, Juvia, Natsu, and Gray were left on the street. Natsu and Gray left together noisily, saying they were going to look around. Urza said she would go directly to the hotel to do the research, so she left in a hurry, and Mirage also went to the hotel with her. Because Ulu and the others said before that there will be a strange magical aura in each year's great demon fighting and martial arts. Urza is very concerned about this. For the sake of everyone's safety, she is vigilant around her like a detective. The remaining 4 girls looked at Naruto eagerly. Seeing everyone's eyes, Naruto couldn't help but smile slightly. Since it's rare for everyone to come here, let's go shopping together, as long as we arrive at the hotel before 12 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. The girls all cheered. So, Naruto and the 4 girls were hanging out on the street. This place is worthy of being the capital, the crowd is endless, and because of this big magic fight, the streets here are full of magicians. Naruto even felt a few very powerful breaths. People on the street were talking about the great demon fighting and martial arts. Everyone smells the fragrance of flowers and listens to your noisy voice around you, only to feel that everything is fresh. Wow, this flower is so beautiful. Lucy saw that a wreath was being sold in the shop beside her. She hurriedly ran over to pick one up and put it on her head, turned her head and asked Naruto, "Look, does this look good?" Naruto smiled and said, "It looks good." On the side, Kana, Juvia and the others were unhappy, and they grabbed the wreath and put it on their head, scrambling to ask Naruto if he looked good. Naruto's head was in a cold sweat. "It looks good, it looks good." The girls happily swayed around Naruto with wreaths. Looking at these cute girls, Naruto sighed with emotion. Men are really strange creatures. When I see cute and beautiful girls, I feel like I don't want to let go. Among the girls in front of me, Kana and Lu Exedu had a relationship with him, but Juvia and Wendy still didn't, and he couldn't help but have the urge to take them all as his own. However, Juvia herself likes Naruto very much, and she has absolutely no opinion on this. Wendy is still young, and Naruto can't help but feel ashamed for her own thoughts. She should be regarded as her sister. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from the street ahead, and there were several waves of magic power coming from there. Let's go take a look. Kana hurriedly ran over with everyone. In the crowd, Naruto saw that Natsu and Gray were also present, and in the central open space, there were two teenagers, one with white hair and one with black hair, hugging each other. His chest stood together with a disdainful expression on his face. At their feet, there were miscellaneous wizards, all members of other guilds. Wow, isn't this the twin dragons of the Swordbite Tiger? It's actually them. It's really amazing. Yes, they are the first guild in the kingdom. Today is really an eye-opener. And the two teenagers called Shuanglong heard all kinds of praising comments, and the expressions on their faces became even more proud. At this moment, a figure squeezed into the crowd, and the white-haired boy among the double dragons suddenly lit up, came to the man, and said hello, yo, it's Mr. Natsu. I didn't expect your fairy tale really. I'm here to participate in the great demon fight. Natsu didn't know why, and the person next to him pouted. What's so strange about us coming to participate in the great demon fight? Hey, the times are different now. Mr. Natsu, I used to admire you, but now it's different. We have become the #1 guild in the mainland, and you have become the last one. I advise you to leave early. The white-haired young man smiled contemptuously, provoking Natsu. Natsu was so enraged that he almost started a fight. If it wasn't for Gray next to him, he might have started a fight. Moreover, the surrounding crowd saw the appearance of the fairy tale person, and suddenly there was a sound of ridicule and contempt. This made the girls beside Naruto furious. Okay, don't mess up your heart because of some taunts from others, and see the real chapter when the game comes. Naruto patted the girls on the shoulders and said. 930. Small punishment once. Yeah, but watching them bully our guild makes me angry, Lucy said with a pouted mouth. Naruto smiled lightly, and suddenly stretched out his hand a little, and the black-haired boy slammed into the white-haired boy with a punch. With a bang, the white-haired boy fell out. Hey, Roger, why are you beating me up, you bastard? The white-haired boy said angrily. The black-haired boy named Rog stared at his hand blankly, his face full of innocence. I don't know either. Suddenly, a look of fear appeared on his face. He hurriedly stepped forward to help the white-haired boy, and said in a low voice, Sting, something is not good. I hit you uncontrollably just now, as if I was forcibly controlled by some method. Just a moment. Even I didn't react. The other party is definitely not an ordinary person. What? You said you were being controlled? The white-haired boy Sting was taken aback. Yeah, I'm afraid that guy is watching us nearby. It's not suitable to stay here for a long time, let's leave quickly. Rogerstein squeezed out of the crowd. What's the matter with these two people? The people around were very puzzled about what happened just now. And Natsu and Gray scolded a few times and left. Hee, Naruto is your fault. Kana laughed. Naruto just smiled faintly. It seems that Naruto's strength has really reached a very terrifying level. Double Long Yi of the First Guild was tricked so easily by you, and our fairy tale will win. Ha ha ha. Lucy was happy jumped up. Roger and Sting, who had left, returned to the hotel and reported the incident to their leader. The leader immediately groaned and looked serious. According to what you said, the person who shot from behind is definitely the existence of the 10th level, but even if it is a person of the 10th level, it is difficult for you to even notice it. I'm afraid that guy is really not easy. The leader said in a deep voice. Rog and Sting looked at each other, their hearts filled with doubts. I didn't expect such a strong person to appear in the great demon fight. It was really unexpected, the leader murmured, but he thought of a person, Uzumaki Naruto of Fairy Tail, but immediately negative again. Even if he is young and strong, his strength cannot reach such a terrifying level, right? Even Sting and Rog, who have reached the level of S-level magician, can control it, which is not something that simple 10-level people can do. On the street, Naruto and his party continued to play, because Naruto secretly taught the two people who looked down on Fairy Tail and laughed at everyone. Lucy and the others were very happy, and they kept bouncing around Naruto. Soon, it was evening, and it was getting dark, when Juvia proposed to go to dinner. The five of them went to a restaurant together and ate a delicious meal of the capital's delicious dishes. The scene where Naruto brought the four beauties to dinner together also attracted the envy of a group of people around them, who speculated about Naruto's identity. Although Naruto is one of the Holy 10, but because he does not usually deal with people from other guilds, many people only hear his name and do not know him. Even if Naruto is standing in front of them, most people will do not know. Wow, you're so full. Wendy patted her bulging belly and leaned against Naruto with a contented face. Be careful not to overeat. Naruto patted her on the head and said indulgently. Hee, no, I want to eat more, so my body will grow up quickly. Wendy said with a slight yoo-hee on her face. Her eyes quietly looked at Lucy and the others. Everyone had breasts, they are all so big. Naruto brother likes such a big chest, right? She thought so. Naruto couldn't help laughing. At this moment, a note suddenly flew in from the window of the restaurant and landed on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto was stunned for a moment, took off the note and glanced at it, and said, "You guys continue to eat, I have something to leave for a while." The girls were stunned. What's the matter? What's the matter? Lucy asked curiously. I met a friend, I'm going to meet. If you don't come back within half an hour, you should go back to the hotel first. Naruto smiled. Don't worry about me. When the girls heard this, they nodded. Che, the mysterious look. Kana muttered. Lucy opened her mouth and exclaimed, Naruto, shouldn't he be a lover? Big brother Naruto is not like this. Sister Lucy, your imagination is too rich. Wendy hurriedly defended Naruto. On the other hand, Juvia really believed Lucy's inference, and began to think nervously for a while. Well, I have something to do first and I have to leave. Juvia hurriedly said goodbye and ran out. What happened to Juvia? Lucy and the others were puzzled. Inside the palace. Princess Emerald sat on the bed of the bedroom, her face flickering uncertainly. Suddenly, a figure suddenly flashed from behind her. Hi, Your Royal Highness, what's the matter with me? Naruto patted her on the shoulder from behind her playfully. What? The Emerald Princess immediately exclaimed and turned around abruptly, only to see that it was Naruto. She couldn't help but said angrily, Why are you sneaking behind me? Don't you know that it will scare people to death? Naruto smiled and said, Seeing how dull you are all by yourself, let's be exciting. His words choked the Emerald Princess. Okay, why are you looking for me? Naruto stopped teasing her and asked instead. Although Princess Emerald gives the impression of being a princess, she seems to be less innocent and lively than a princess should be, but she looks very preoccupied. It seems that the solar eclipse plan has taken her a lot of effort. Princess Emerald took a breath, calmed down, and said slowly, Mr. Naruto, because the solar eclipse plan is not a few days away, so I want to discuss with you the specific plan in the future, and I want to ask you to take the key on your body. Give it to me first. Oh, do you want my key now? Naruto took out the golden keys of Aries and Leo, and shook it in front of her. I want to use it in the next game. Because we know that you are going to participate in the competition, we would like to ask you to hand over the keys to us for preservation in order to avoid unnecessary changes. After all, this is a major event related to the solar eclipse plan. Princess Emerald looked at him with a solemn expression. Say. 931. Juvia in distress. Although Naruto was a little surprised by Princess Emerald's request, it was reasonable. However, handing over the keys to others at will make the Protoss unhappy. Naruto hesitated for a moment and said, Well, put the key with me first, and you can ask me for it when you really need it. Don't worry about any changes in the middle, and you want to notify me immediately when the time comes. In my case, I just need to input magic power into this." As he spoke, he stretched out his palm, and then a crystal clear and colorful crystal appeared in the palm of his hand. This is the power crystal that he temporarily condensed. With this thing, as long as other people input magic power into it, he will feel it. This is different from the mark of Horation's art. The mark of Horation can only be sensed when the mental power of the engraved person has a large fluctuation, and ordinary things cannot be sensed. Therefore, this crystal is equivalent to a communication tool. Of course, it is only one-sided communication. Emerald Princess reached out and took it, curiously looking at this thing that is similar to magic crystal but different from magic crystal. "Beautiful," she exclaimed softly. Naruto smiled slightly. "I have a way to be by your side in an instant, and, with my strength, you don't have to worry about losing the key or being taken away by others. As long as you notify me, I will come. That's how I came to you just now." Only then did the Emerald Princess show a sudden realization. "Is this your teleportation magic? It's really amazing," she exclaimed, with a slightly complicated expression on her face. "For a strong man like you, it shouldn't be comparable to an ordinary Holy Ten, right? Wouldn't you like to help me with my solar eclipse plan?" The so-called solar eclipse plan, the ultimate goal is to defeat Jareth and the Black Dragon. And my goal is to defeat them, but I will never use this method to defeat them, I will use it in a dignified manner. Strength to compete with them. When he said these words, he was in high spirits, and the momentum of a strong man spread out from his body, and the imperial robe on his body was automatic without wind. Princess Jade's eyes were full of brilliance. Looking at his figure, she didn't know how she felt. "You are really confident," she sighed softly. "The strength of Jareth and Hylong is unbelievable. I heard that you disappeared for 7 years because of them." Hearing her words, Naruto frowned slightly. At that time, he was indeed inferior to Jareth and Hylong, but now, he has enough confidence to challenge them. For nothing else, just to wash away the shame of being thrown into the turbulent flow of time and space by the Black Dragon. Although, at that time, Black Long Yi couldn't hurt himself, but being in such a passive state still made him mind. If you want to become stronger, you must surpass those who are stronger than yourself. This is the fastest way to increase strength. He smiled and didn't answer. Seeing his mysterious appearance, Princess Emerald couldn't help but wonder again, does he really plan to challenge Jareth and Hylong? Those two are invincible existences. One is the person who created the great magic world, and the other is the king of dragons. And the man in front of him actually wanted to challenge them. It's ridiculous to think about it. How could it be possible? I really don't understand you. Princess Emerald sighed helplessly. Okay, if it's all right, I'll go first. Princess, you have to take care of yourself and think twice about everything. After all, a girl of your age should be enjoying her youth. Naruto finished speaking. A golden light flashed and disappeared. Princess Emerald looked at the direction where Naruto disappeared, and snorted softly, "What a nosy." However, she looked at the joyful and noisy city outside the castle, and her eyes showed a complicated look. If the world will not be destroyed this time, I must play like an ordinary girl. With the technique of Horation, Naruto basically does not need the time to travel back and forth. After a flash, he appeared outside the restaurant where everyone had eaten before. However, when he entered the restaurant, he found that Juvia was missing. It was only after he asked that he learned that Juvia had left. At this time, Juvia was wandering around the streets, looking for Naruto. Really, Naruto isn't really cheating with other girls, is he? Damn it, damn it. Even Juvia has never done such a thing. I'm not reconciled. On deserted streets. Suddenly, on a building behind her, a black shadow appeared, staring at him. Crisis is quietly approaching Juvia. However, although Juvia's strength is not bad, at this time she was thinking about Naruto, which led to a great decrease in her perception of the dangers around her. She came to a flower bed and sat down, but she couldn't find Naruto, and was upset. Endlessly. Wow, it's been so long, everything has happened. Juvia muttered, covering her face. At this moment, the dark shadow on the building behind her suddenly rushed towards her. Phew, Juvia suddenly sensed and turned around quickly to take a look, but only felt a sudden shock of his body, followed by the rapid loss of magic power in his whole body. Under the robe, the face could not be seen clearly. Well, who are you? Juvia couldn't move her body rose up in the air, her magic power was quickly drawn out, and her jade face was full of painful expressions. The figure gave a strange laugh and did not speak, but just stretched out his arms and tried his best to absorb Juvia's magic. The feeling that the magic power was forcibly pulled away brought Juvia a severe pain, and she finally couldn't help screaming. Suddenly, the golden light flashed. With a loud bang, the tall figure flew straight back, and his magic was interrupted. It's Naruto. Juvia's delicate body fell from the air, Naruto's golden hair fluttering into his eyes, and then his body entered a broad embrace. Great, Naruto, you are here. Juvia leaned on his chest weakly, his whole body limp. Juvia, I'm sorry, I'm late. Naruto lowered his head and hugged her tightly, then looked angrily at the figure who was escaping quickly. 932. The contest begins. To hurt Juvia when I wasn't paying attention. What a courtship. For a moment, Juvia only felt that the scene in front of him changed, and then a bloodline appeared in front of him. Boom. The tall figure fell into a pool of blood, his body kept twitching, and blood spurted wildly. Juvia was slightly surprised. Naruto killed. Killed for myself. HMPH, is it the person from Tai Crow's Tail? Naruto opened the body of the man and saw that he actually had the seal of the Tai Crow's Tail Guild. Naruto knew about this guild. He had heard the old man mention it. It was a guild created after his son defected. It used to be a dark guild, but it was recently converted. Sure enough, the bad habits of the dark guild can't be changed. What was the purpose of attacking Juvia? Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly, his body exuding a dangerous aura. At this time, Juvia's weak voice came. Naruto, let's go quickly, if we don't go, others will find out. Naruto nodded, and in the next instant, he disappeared in place, and when he appeared again, he was already at the door of the restaurant. Fortunately, Naruto arrived in time, and the magic power in Juvia's body was not completely drained, so although she was very weak at this time, her life was not in danger, she just needed to recover slowly. Naruto hugged her sideways and met Kana, Lucy and Wendy who were about to come out at the restaurant door. Seeing that Naruto was holding Juvia, and Juvia was pale and weak, he couldn't help but be shocked. Juvia, what's the matter with you? Lucy asked hurriedly. I'm fine. Juvia had a big Yuhi face, and was hugged by Naruto in front of them. This feeling was really embarrassing, but it was also great. Naruto, what's going on? Juvia looks injured, Kana asked Naruto. Naruto frowned and said angrily, it's the tail of the crow. One of the guys attacked Juvia when I wasn't paying attention. But I've already killed it. Big Crow's tail. Did you kill their people? The three of Kana couldn't help but be astonished. Naruto sneered. Yeah, I'm sneaking around behind my back and trying to hurt the people around me. Uzumaki Naruto, will never forgive me. Hearing Naruto's angry declaration, Juvia was so moved that she burst into tears and buried her head in his arms. Naruto, it's great to have you here. Juvia is injured, but I'm so happy. Juvia would rather be injured all the time. Naruto couldn't help laughing and crying when he heard the words. Don't say such unlucky words. I almost hurt you seriously today, it's already my fault. Woo, Naruto. Juvia burst into tears. Okay, let's go back to the hotel now. It seems that there are still quite a few potential enemies in this big demon fight. The hotel should be safer. Naruto waved his hand and motioned the girls to go back together. The group of 5 no longer continued to stroll, but returned to the hotel. Along the way, Juvia, who had been held by Naruto all the time, died of joy in his heart. He never thought that if he was injured once, he would receive so much care from Naruto. Next time, you have to get hurt a little more. Juvia thought so. She really likes Naruto. After returning to the hotel, Naruto put Juvia on the bed and asked Kana to take care of him. Mirage and Laxus were also very angry when they saw that Juvia was injured, but when they heard that Naruto had killed the other person with thunder, they couldn't help but admire Naruto's decisiveness. After all, before the start of the Great Demon fight, the situation was very sensitive, and this time Naruto killed someone from the opposing guild, and he would definitely encounter all kinds of revenge in the next game. However, it doesn't matter to Naruto. If it weren't for the fact that the leader of the Crow's Tail was Makarov's son Ivan, Naruto might have gone directly to kill them all. I hope they will not violate their bottom line again in the future, otherwise, the consequences will be unpredictable. Juvia's magic power has been absorbed a lot, but with the response of this time, and the help of Ms. Belusika's potion, her face finally gradually became smoother. Thank you, Naruto, I can fight now. Juvia got up and said, if this game is eliminated because of my relationship, I will be very sorry. Naruto smiled. It's okay, even if you can't participate, we can find other people to join temporarily. You don't have to be mentally burdened, it's just a game. Mirage and Kana also nodded. Dad's guild, Naruto, can you leave them to me during the game? Laxus suddenly sighed and said to Naruto. Naruto looked at him. Well, as long as they don't come to offend me, I won't touch them for now. Laxus heaved a sigh of relief. Thanks. Naruto smiled lightly. I hope they don't irritate me, but within the rules of the game, no matter how noisy they are, I won't shoot. Okay. Laxus nodded heavily. After these years of cultivation, his strength has grown a lot, and he has undergone qualitative changes compared to before. Even in the face of Saint Ten, he is confident that he can fight. However, when facing Naruto, he had an unfathomable feeling, which seemed to be a dimensional gap. Therefore, although his strength has increased a lot, he will never provoke Naruto for no reason. Knowing Naruto's strength, he had already given up challenging him. This is also less troublesome for Naruto. In his opinion, Laxus has indeed grown a lot and has approached the level of Gildas. After a while, the time hand finally pointed to 12 o'clock. The next moment, the voice of the host Pumpkin sounded from outside. It's 12 o'clock. All members are staying in the hotel. Next, there will be a qualifier. What? After hearing the news, everyone was surprised. There are a total of 103 guilds participating in this time, but everyone should know that the rules for each of our big devil fights are not fixed. So the rules this time are to conduct a preliminary selection for elimination, and finally select 8 teams to enter. Participate. 933. Far ahead. When Pumpkin said the news, everyone was surprised and a little caught off guard, especially those low-strength guilds were almost desperate. After all, they were looking forward to appearing in the Great Demon fighting and improving their popularity, but after this qualifier, all of a sudden there is no chance. With so many powerful guilds in front of them, there is simply no chance for a small guild. And just after Pumpkin finished speaking the news, the entire hotel room twitched. What's wrong? Everyone was shocked. The hotel, the corridors, all vibrated, twisted, and underwent incredible changes, as if the whole world around them was about to be turned upside down. Pumpkin's voice sounded again. Our program for this qualifier is, the maze. Only the top 8 teams that pass the maze can qualify for the competition. And your hotel is your starting point. With the sound of the pumpkin, the scene in front of everyone changed again and again, and the magic power was shining, and the roads ahead were paved. Everyone rushed forward along this road. If you fall behind, you will be eliminated. We all have to do our best. Mirage encouraged everyone with a smile. Come on, Kana waved. and everyone rushed out together. If you look from the outside now, you will find that the entire street where the hotel is located, as well as a large area of towns around it, are all floating in the air, and they are surrounded by a huge sphere in midair. And Naruto and the others were all inside the sphere, and the streets and buildings inside the sphere had already been transformed into various organs and lost their way, blocking everyone's way. All participating teams must compete in this competition to reach the finish line. And the end point is the venue where the great demon fighting and martial arts are held, the place called Dome. It is outside the entire capital near the mountain. In the maze, everyone can use magic at will. Along the way, Laxus pulled the fastest speed and rushed forward. Don't fall behind. Laxus glanced at the four Naruto. Mirage, Kana, Juvia, and the three girls have limited speed, so I'm afraid they won't be able to keep up with Laxus' speed. But Naruto just smiled faintly. He stretched out his hand towards the three girls, and a pair of invisible wind wings suddenly appeared on each of them. This is... Kana looked at the wings behind her in surprise. The body is so brisk. Juvia was also surprised. Okay, now our speed has increased a lot, Naruto said. Yeah, the three girls nodded, and rushed out the next moment, and soon followed Laxus, while Naruto was just strolling in the courtyard, and it seemed to everyone that he was flying every step of the way. Can go a long way. The five came to a large room full of forks and stopped. Where are we going next? Mirage asked, tilting his head. Naruto is naturally aware of the fact that the maze is meaningless to him. To others, it is a closed maze, but to Naruto, it seems to be completely transparent. As long as he is willing, his perception is scattered, and it can even penetrate hundreds of kilometers around, and the entire town is included in the perception range. Go there. Naruto stretched out his hand and pointed in a direction ahead. Okay, let's go. Laxus rushed forward without any doubt. At this moment, several arrogant voices sounded beside them. Ah, someone is actually ahead of us. Naruto turned his head to look, but it turned out to be a few people from the tiger-biting sword. In addition to the pair of dragons, there was a tall man, an elegant gentleman in a black hat, and a beautiful girl in a long cloak and short light blue hair. Hey, how can I let you guys lead? The big man suddenly attacked the five Naruto people, and a black thunder flashed in his hand, surrounding them all. Naruto was unmoved. Laxus snorted coldly, waved his big hand, and yellow lightning flashed from his body, rushing towards the black thunder. Boom! The two met in midair, and they exploded in an instant, creating a whirlwind wave. That guy is amazing, the big man exclaimed, but the five Naruto quickly left. Under the guidance of Naruto, the five people hardly stopped, and there was no team that could keep up to stop them along the way. Even the team of Sword-Bite Tiger could only fall behind their ass. Not surprisingly, the five finally came to the end. At the end, the host Pumpkin has been waiting for a long time. Oh, it's actually you, Fairy Tail Team B. He was a little surprised. I thought it would be the Sword-Bite Tiger and the others. Hey, what kind of thing is a sword-biting tiger? Laxus said proudly. Ah, hee. Pumpkin smiled awkwardly and motioned for the five to go over. After that, it was the team of the Sword-Bite Tiger. As soon as they arrived, they saw the five Naruto disappear at the end of the finish line, and their faces couldn't help showing unwillingness. Damn it. Those guys actually took the lead. Fairy Tail Team B actually has such strength. The big man shouted unwillingly. It seems that their team will be our rivals, the gentleman said with a faint smile. Immediately after that, the team behind them, the Azure Pegasus, the Scales of the Snake Heim, and the Merman's Bell. And Fairy Tail Team A, that is, Nazgûl Urza and the others, actually became the 8th team to reach the finish line, almost being eliminated, which hit Natsu and the others at once. Passion. And after all the 8 teams have arrived, at the finish line, that is, the arena where the dome is located. It was already daytime, and it was crowded and lively. Fireworks kept blooming in the sky, and it seemed that the members of the guild who came to cheer were cheering for their partners. Everyone is also looking forward to seeing the members of their guild enter the top 8 and become a highly anticipated existence. Looking from the inside of the arena to the pomp outside, Naruto couldn't help but think of the Chunin exam in the Hokage world. Compared to the Chunin exam, this is a continental competition with more people and more spectators. After participating in this kind of competition a few times, Naruto suddenly sighed that he had experienced too many things before he knew it. 934. The Biggest Dark Horse. The voice of the host Pumpkin sounded outside, with various introductions from the other judges. Afterwards, I heard everyone go out one by one in order, came to the center of the venue, and accepted the attraction of everyone's eyes. The first to go out was naturally Fairy Tail Team A. The circular arena, in addition to a huge and spacious center in the center, is surrounded by a large audience. At this moment, the auditorium was full of people, it was full. Many people did not have seats and just stood there watching. After seeing the Fairy Tail Team A play, a man in a suit acting as the referee, a beautiful lady, and Yajima, who used to be a council member. The 3-member jury commentary team is commenting on Urza and others who have appeared on the stage. However, most of the spectators present booed mockingly, and only a few people applauded and cheered for them. Of course, the most important one was the guild members headed by Makarov. However, this scene aroused the enthusiasm of Urza and the others. Afterwards, the second player, the 7th place in the preliminary round, the 4-headed hounds, received a lot more voices than Natsu and the others. Next, the 6th place is the mermaid, bell, known as the Dance of the Sea. After appearing on the stage, they were all women, and this time they got more voices. Of course, most of them were men. This is a guild made up of all women. This guild was not well known before, but as soon as it stood up today, it was immediately known to everyone. It would be great if I could enter the mermaid's bell. All of them are girls, they must be happy to die. The men shouted longingly. Next, there is the 5th place, the Blue Sky Horse, and the 4th place, the Scale of the Snakeheim. These 2 guilds are the most famous big guilds in the mainland in recent years. Even the Scales of the Snakeheim is recognized as the 2nd strongest guild after the Sword-Biting Tiger. This time it is actually ranked 4th, which is a bit surprising. Then, 3rd place, 2nd place, what kind of guild is it? Even the 3 members of the jury were surprised. After all, in everyone's mind, the first position of the Sword-Biting Tiger will never be shaken. However, the Scale of the Snakeheim, which is slightly worse than the Sword-Biting Tiger, is actually ranked 4th, so the 3rd and 2nd guild, what is it? This confuses many people. Everyone racked their brains and couldn't think of any guild that could defeat the Scale of the Snakeheim. Next, it's the 3rd place team in the preliminary round, Big Crow's Tail. When the host introduced it, everyone was surprised. Because the Big Crow's Tail has always been a dark guild, an existence that people hate deeply, but why does it appear in this kind of official competition? This can't help but make people extremely surprised. Could it be that the current great demon fighting and martial arts have fallen? However, it was only after the referee's explanation that everyone realized that the Big Crow's Tail had existed for 7 years and was recognized as an official guild by the League of Magicians, which greatly surprised Makarov. His son actually has the ability to make people in the League of Magicians recognize them. Naruto saw that in this guild, the big man who had attacked Juvia had disappeared and was replaced by another person. However, there was a figure wearing a metal mask, and Naruto could sense the breath of this guy at a glance. It was Makarov's son, Ivan. It was the first time they participated in this competition this year, and it was also the first time they appeared in front of everyone, and they actually won the 3rd place. This is undoubtedly a dark horse. The audience is looking forward to this guild whose strength is unknown and whose origin is doubtful. The 3rd team is Big Crow's Tail. Is the 2nd team another unknown guild? Really, several years of conferences seem to be very interesting. Which guild is the 2nd squad next? There were many opinions and discussions in the audience, and everyone was looking forward to the appearance of the second team. However, just as everyone was waiting for the other unknown teams to appear, the 5 members of the Swordbite Tiger came out one after another. And they, like defeated roosters, came out with a cold face. In an instant, the scene fell silent. Because this is really surprising. The Swordbite Tiger is not the first, but the second. How is this going? Even the referee was stunned for a while before introducing them. The second place is the Tiger of Swordbite. It really is a powerful guild, its strength is unquestionable. Looking forward to your next performance. No way, how come the Swordbite Tiger is ranked second? The audience exclaimed. Impossible. In the first few competitions, the Tiger of Swordbite was the first place. No guild can compare. Why is this happening? Doesn't this mean that the guild that will appear next is stronger than them? Which other guild in the kingdom can be stronger than the Tiger of Swordbiting? I can't imagine it. Yeah, it's absolutely impossible, can't it be a mistake? There were various voices and discussions, and of course there was no lack of warm applause. But the 5 people of the Swordbite Tiger only felt that their faces were dull, as if they had been severely humiliated. Or full of hostility towards Fairy Tale Team B, which is ahead of them. They decided that in the next game, they must be brutally abused back. Last moment. It's time for the first place in the preliminary round. Everyone present held their breath and looked towards the exit. Exciting time. Next is the real dark horse. Let's see which team leads the pack. With the call of the referee, everyone in the audience applauded and cheered, and the scene seemed to be boiling. And Makarov had a knowing smile on his face, and Mikau, Biska, Lisana and others who already knew the situation beside him also showed excited and happy expressions. Finally, Fairy Tale Team B appears. Before the appearance, the entire competition field was quiet, and everyone was waiting for the appearance of the dark horse. Open your eyes and don't want to miss this scene. Then, with Naruto as the head, Laxus, Mirage, Juvia, and Kana stood beside him, and the lineup appeared immediately, and everyone's expressions couldn't help but stay for a while. Seconds, a frenzied cheer broke out in the field. At this moment, even the referee did not expect it. Because before the show, only the host of the conference, Pumpkin, knew the rankings of the major guilds. 935, competition begins. It's unbelievable. Everyone was amazed. It's Fairy Tale Team B. Everyone was greatly surprised by the appearance of Team B, not only because of their behavior of sending 2 teams from one guild, but also because such a team won the first place. After cheering, everyone became suspicious again. Some people say that Fairy Tale is cunning, but actually sent 2 teams to participate. It is also said that Fairy Tale is stupid, dividing the combat power into 2 parts, weakening the strength. However, after the referee Yujima's explanation, everyone stopped talking. Because the rules of this competition are to allow 2 teams from one guild to participate. After staying for a long time, another referee man introduced to the crowd, I didn't expect the first place to be the Fairy Tale Team B. After 7 years of silence, this former kingdom's first guild, the main member of its Sirius Island the return of, unexpectedly brought you such a big surprise for the first time. Quote. The audience cheered loudly. At this moment, no one is not cheering because Naruto and the others are from the declining Fairy Tale. Because only one reason is enough to put them at a height that makes everyone shut up in the preliminary round, they are in front of the sword-biting tiger. At this moment, the audience could not help but look forward to it. Afterwards, the referee continued to introduce. Actually, Fairy Tale B team has such achievements. It is not surprising, because they have the existence of Holy 10 in their team. Uzumaki Naruto was named the Holy Stone 10 years ago. One of the sorcerers. He is in existence of the same level as Mr. Jula, the scale of the Snake Heim. Wow, it's actually Holy 10. Holy 10. Is that Uzumaki Naruto? Why haven't I heard of it? Che, you ignorant guy, Uzumaki Naruto has long been a famous 10th. I heard about his deeds as early as 7 years ago, but I have never seen his true face. Yeah, I didn't expect to be so young and so handsome. Ah, I'm going to marry him. For a time, everyone's focus was on Naruto. Naruto's expression didn't change, but he was smiling bitterly in his heart. He didn't expect that his reputation was not bad. The other teams were also looking at Naruto. The 5 people from the Swordbite Tiger all stared at them, their expressions almost like they were going to eat people. Jura, who is the scale of the snake Heim, said lightly, compared to him, my title of Holy 10 is not a big deal. I hope I don't encounter him in the next competition. Wow, Uncle Jula, is that guy really that powerful? A cute girl in her teens exclaimed. She has pink Yuhi-colored hair and 2 small whips on both sides. She has just grown. The body that got up looked another lovely and lively taste. She glanced at Shirley on the other side of the auditorium, who was excited with Yuhi on her face, and muttered, is this the person Shirley has always had a crush on? It looks really good. Shui Li, who was in the audience, had been looking forward to this scene for a long time, and this time she finally saw Naruto. She couldn't help but think of the scene when Naruto treated her injuries on Alcatraz Island. The gentle tone and warm big hands made her fall into fascination, and she has been obsessed with Naruto until now. Of course, Naruto doesn't know all this. He is observing the people of these teams present, except for Urza and the others, he is almost aware of the strength of the personnel of each other team. However, a black-haired girl in the mermaid Zhang caught his attention, and he actually felt that the magical aura on her body was similar to that of Urza. Even faintly surpassing Urza. And just when Naruto looked at her, the woman suddenly looked over. Her eyes were extremely sharp, making people feel uncomfortable and being stared at. This guy, Naruto murmured, keeping an eye out. In this way, all the participants of this competition have arrived. Although there are only 40 people in 8 teams, the ones who can stand here are the strong ones. The battle stage this time is definitely very exciting, and everyone is looking forward to it. Next, the host will announce the rules of the competition, which will be divided into a competition part and a duel part every day. In the competition part, contestants can be freely selected to compete in competitive events similar to qualifying competitions. The duel part is decided by the organizer of the conference, and the score is directly determined by the victory or defeat. This competition will continue for 5 days. It can be said that these 5 days of competition will be very exciting almost every day. And the next entry is called Secret. When the project was announced, each team sent their own players. Fairy Tail Team A sent Gray, and Fairy Tail Team B sent Kana on the field. Immediately afterwards, other teams also sent their own candidates. Among them, Naruto noticed that the elegant gentleman sent by the Tiger of Sword Biting seemed to be full of confidence, while the tail of the Big Crow was a short, fat man with a fierce face. I'll be a pioneer for you. Kana laughed. Mirage nodded with a smile, be careful. Don't be careless, the guys from other teams are very strong. Yeah, got it. Kana stepped forward confidently and entered the arena. In the kingdom, the Emerald Princess is watching from a distance in the corridor of the palace where the dome of the arena is located. The huge screen of light erected there is playing the scene of the competition. She saw that Naruto's team won the first place in the preliminary round, and there was a rare smile on her face. At this time, the head of the knights came over, looked at the huge screen, and asked, Princess Emerald, can you really trust that person? We didn't know much about him before. Princess Emerald nodded, then said, I know, but do you know how terrible his magic is? Huh. Hey, you don't know, and I don't know either, but his strength is beyond what you and I can guess. Princess Emerald shook her head and said, in short, we have no other choice but to win him over. Even when the time comes he will also become a vital presence in the entire solar eclipse plan. Well, if what you said is true, Princess, then this person must not be provoked. The knight leader sighed slightly. 936, lost in the preliminary round. Just when Naruto just came back from the palace, he just saw the start of this competitive game. The name is secret, and before the start, the rules were not told to everyone. Until there was a sudden flash of magic in the center of the venue, and in the magic light, a large area of city buildings, streets, etc. were embodied by magic. Almost half the city stands in the center of the field. This surprised all the contestants, how powerful magic was needed to be able to materialize the city. At this point, the contestants were surrounded by city buildings and streets. This phenomenon also reflects the strength of the organizers from the side. Then, the referees began to explain the rules of the game. It's very simple. Everyone is a ghost and a chased party. They search for each other in the streets. There is no limit to the magic they use. As long as they give each other a blow, no matter whether the attack is offensive or not, the party who succeeds in the attack will get a bonus point. After the introduction, there was a sudden flash of magic in the entire street. In an instant, the streets around the 8 contestants were filled with replicas of the 8 contestants, including myself. And these replicas are used to confuse the contestants' vision. If they are accidentally attacked, the attacking party will deduct 1 point. Therefore, every contestant must find the real person among the many replicas, that is, other contestants, and give a blow. So, how to find out who the other contestants are, and how to hide their location, is a crucial part. The content of this first level is indeed a bit difficult. For Kana and the others, it's not too difficult. Because each of these replicas is exactly like the real person, and Kana's perception is not outstanding, so is Gray's perception. Naruto could not help but frown slightly. He could feel that the gentleman of the sword-biting tiger was very strong. They are much stronger than Kana. What a complicated competition. Mirage, who was beside Naruto, sighed. Naruto nodded, looked at the huge magic screen erected in the middle of the field, observed the contestants in it, and did not speak. Come on, come on. Come on, fairy tale. At this moment, a crisp female voice suddenly appeared beside Naruto. Everyone turned their heads in surprise, and all exclaimed, the first generation of Mebus. Shodai, first, Sama, why are you here? Makarov exclaimed. Hee, it's boring to stay on Sirius Island all the time. Come out and play, cheer on fairy tale. Mebus smiled, looking innocent. Naruto looked at her thoughtfully. The original Mebus, as a ghost, is still running around, which is really surprising. Gray was in it, and he was confused by the many replicas. He ran forward anxiously, and Kana was similar. They seemed to want to find out the real body as soon as possible. However, their fast-moving figures can easily be seen by other contestants, and they can easily reveal their flaws and be attacked. Boom, boom. The two groaned, and were immediately hit by other contestants and fell to the ground. It was the crow's tail that attacked Gray, Naru Budinku. Immediately afterwards, Gray, who found the opponent's attack, immediately counterattacked, and the ice magic sent out, but it slammed into other replicas. It turned out that the Naru Pudding Library borrowed the replica to hide it. From a mentality point of view, Gray is far inferior to Crow's Tail. Naruto looked straight and shook his head. Kana's side is also not optimistic. Although she successfully found a player who was attacking others, and took the opportunity to attack the opponent, she was also hit by others. In addition, everyone else has their own means. The battle was fierce for a while. However, at this time, the contestant of the Swordbite Tiger, known as the bard who sang under the Yuhi moon, Rufus, was standing tall at the top of a building. There was a look of disdain on his face. He seemed to find this competition very boring. He murmured, and suddenly opened his arms. The next moment, 7 rays of light flew from his body, falling from the sky and hitting the other contestants present. For a time, the entire venue became a stage for him alone, and the others could only look up at him. What an arrogant guy. Gray rushed up in annoyance, but couldn't hit him at all, and was quickly beaten back. Others don't have any chance. Rufus's memory modeling magic is simply not comparable to others. As a result, Rufus suddenly became the first in this game. That's it, the time is up. the game is over. The rankings are finally out. Unsurprisingly, the tiger with sword biting came in first, Crow's Tail second, Snake Heim, S Scales third, Cyan Pegasus fourth, Mermaid Zhang fifth, Four Hounds sixth, Fairy Tale Team B, S 7, eighth for Team A. In an instant, the situation reversed. Rufus received countless cheers from the audience. As for the two teams of Fairy Tale, they suddenly became the countdown and were ridiculed by everyone. In fact, the strength of Kana and Gray would not have been the last to exist, but the Naru Budinku of the Big Crow's tail kept staring at them, resulting in a very low score. Team B was okay, because of the advantages that Naruto brought before. Team A was scolded badly. Naruto's face was calm. Gray and Kana reluctantly returned to the team. Naruto, I'm sorry, I embarrassed the guild. Kana took out the wine bottle she was carrying, and started drinking. Naruto patted her shoulder with a smile and said softly, it's okay, it's just a game, don't worry about it, as long as you try your best, you will succeed. Hey, Kaden was shouted, tears, and walked to the Naruto. Gray, on the other hand, left the venue with a dejected expression. Naruto frowned. The two teams of Fairy Tale were greatly disappointed by everyone at this time. Okay, winning or losing is a common thing in military affairs. In the game, winning or losing is the same, as long as you work hard. Naruto comforted everyone. Everyone regained their mood and prepared for the next duel exam. Soon, within minutes, the referee announced the start of the duel match. The first match was the woman who was drawn to the tails of Lucy and Crow. Huh, Lucy, you are actually the first to play. Come on, Mirage encouraged. Lucy nodded and looked at Naruto. Naruto also smiled and said, do your best, don't push yourself too hard. 937, Lucy vs. Freya. You two, please come on stage. In the announcement of the pumpkin host, Lucy entered the arena. The woman in the crow's tail was named Freya. She has long wine-yui-colored hair, which is very beautiful, but she keeps frowning. Her eyes are terrifying. She stares at Lucy's blonde hair from time to time, and is still murmuring, blonde. There was an indescribable horror in his tone. Lucy was a little baffled, but she was not afraid. She went head-to-head and stood in the field to confront her. Immediately afterwards, the two sides immediately launched a battle. Lucy took out the key and summoned her own Protoss, Taurus and Sasori. The two Protoss attacked Freya for a while. Freya's long hair rose sharply and suddenly transformed into a huge lion, rushing towards Lucy. Hair styling. This strange magic surprised the audience. Guy Sand, summoned by Lucy. Freya, whose hair was scattered all over the floor, was suddenly distressed and angry, and launched a frantic attack on Lucy. Lucy didn't check. Her legs were entangled in her hair and she was lifted up. But she did not show weakness. She threw out the whip of the stars on her body, and also wrapped around each other's feet, and the two started a contest with each other. Let no one. For a time, the audience was attracted by the wonderful showdown between the first women, cheering loudly and applauding enthusiastically. At this time, the two separated from each other and confronted again. Evenly matched. Suddenly, Freya's hair plunged into the sand of the field. Lucy was slightly startled, just about to jump up to dodge, but she couldn't help but be stunned. As soon as this flaw appeared, Freya immediately launched another round of attacks on Lucy. Her fiery yui-colored hair stretched and changed violently, and immediately wrapped Lucy's hands, feet, and mouth. Lucy was immediately restrained and held in midair, unable to move. Damn, what's going on? Why was Lucy in a daze, and she was taken advantage of? Everyone in the guild was greatly puzzled. Mebis tilted her head and looked puzzled. She glanced at Naruto. Naruto frowned, closed his eyes slightly, and released a powerful subtle perception. Moment. He opened his eyes, and a bright light flashed in his blue pupils. The next moment, his figure flashed, and he appeared on the other side like a gust of wind, behind a 3 or 4-year-old kid in the guild. Reach out and grab. A fiery Yuhi-colored long hair was caught in his hand. Despicable woman. He smiled disdainfully, pulling his arm forcefully, and Freya was pulled directly to the ground. Damn, found out. As soon as Freya's flaw appeared, Lucy immediately found an opportunity. She broke free from Freya's shackles, and then summoned the Taurus and Sasori star spirits. Ya flew out fiercely. Boom. Freya fell to the ground, unable to get up. Lucy, win. Finally, I finally won. Everyone in the guild was pleasantly surprised. The original Mebus also laughed happily. Naruto's figure flashed, suddenly appeared beside Lucy, disappeared in a flash, and returned to the guild auditorium. You did a good job, Lucy. If that Freya hadn't threatened you with despicable means just now, I'm afraid you would have won. Naruto said with a smile. Hee, I still want to thank you for discovering her little move in time. Lucy stuck out her tongue. Go back to your room to wash and rest, and I'll treat your wounds later. Naruto said with some distress. Lucy nodded heavily and walked to the lounge. On the other hand, Kana's expression darkened. Although she was comforted by Naruto when she lost, she was inevitably a little disappointed when she saw Naruto's meticulous care for Lucy. On the other side, Freya returned to the auditorium of her guild, but was reprimanded and beaten by the masked man. Losing waist, the masked man grabbed her neck and threw her to the ground. Freya stared at Naruto here with fear and unwillingness on her face. Still watching, the masked man punched her in the face again, and Freya's white face immediately swelled up. That guy is absolutely not to be messed with. Obra went for a sneak attack and was killed directly by him. Do you want to die too? Freya lowered her head in fright after hearing this, her body trembling. Okay, trash, stand aside for me. The masked man scolded, and Freya stood up according to the words, her face full of fear. Naruto had already noticed the situation over there, and frowned when he saw the masked man, the president's son, Ivan, fighting against the woman. What a vile person. If he hadn't promised Laxus to let him deal with them, Naruto would have really wanted to deal with them in the game. Next, is the second game. It's Lien, the black boy of the blue sky horse, who is fighting against Elanir, the merman's belle. The strength of these two people is average, and Naruto did not continue to pay attention to it, but was going to go back to the lounge to treat Lucy. Come to the lounge. As soon as he entered, he heard the sound of rushing water. Lucy is taking a shower. And there was a soft singing voice. She won a game and seemed very happy, and the singing was full of joy. Naruto couldn't help laughing, and he said, Lucy, I'm here, are you still taking a shower? Yeah, Naruto, are you so fast? Lucy was slightly flustered when she heard the words, and then hurried out wrapped in a bath towel. The beauty came out of the bath, and Naruto suddenly felt bright. Her long, wet blonde hair was casually scattered behind her head, and a white bath towel wrapped around her charming body. Her E-cup breasts almost burst through the bath towel and jumped out. With a little bit of water stains, it looks soft and smooth. Come on, let me treat you. Naruto walked over and grabbed her shoulder. Well, okay. Lucy nodded lightly with a slight Yuhi face. She felt that she was wearing nothing inside at this moment, only wrapped in a bath towel, and her heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Naruto waved his hand, and the door to the lounge slammed shut. Okay, Lucy, go to bed and lie down, I'll heal you. Naruto smiled and pushed her onto the big white bed. 938. In the lounge. Because of the previous battle, although Lucy was not seriously injured, she was also injured a lot by Freya. After washing, the swelling and wounds on Yuhi's body became more obvious. Looking at Lucy's flawless body, there were streaks of bruises on Yuhi's body, and Naruto was greatly distressed. Lie down. Naruto pressed her on the bed and made her lie on her back against him. Then his big hands pressed on it. The next moment, a green light emerged from his palm and slowly penetrated into Lucy's body. All the wounds on his body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those silt Yuhi also disappeared. This is the power of life. Naruto put his hands on her tender and smooth back, and the slippery feeling was very comfortable. While using the power of life to heal, Naruto also felt the beauty of her body with his hands. And Lucy was lying there, and the feeling of her body being wrapped by the force of life also made her groan slightly comfortably. This kind of feeling that the cells of the whole body are beating happily and joyfully, it is like coming to heaven. Huh, Naruto, your treatment method is so comfortable. Lucy exhaled a long breath with a contented expression on her face. This is my exclusive healing technique, and I am the only one in the world who can use it. Naruto smiled, his hands along her jade back suddenly came to her bare snow-white fragrant shoulders. The big hand pressed it, and the warm feeling made Lucy twist slightly. The life energy in Naruto's palm moved more actively, nourishing every cell in her body. The comforting Lucy let out a snort. At this moment, she only felt that her whole body was alive, her whole body was full of energy, and she entered a special state. At this time, Naruto let go of her shoulders, and the power of life was input. Looking at Lucy's perfect body, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little hot. Speaking of which, since I came back, I haven't had sex with Lucy yet. She must be very eager, right? Naruto lowered his head and suddenly kissed her exposed white tender shoulder. Ah! Lucy immediately let out a soft cry, and a dizzy Yuhi appeared on her jade face. What are you doing? Naruto. She turned her head back and gave him a charming glance. Hee, the treatment isn't over yet. Naruto smiled maliciously, reaching out and suddenly uncovering her white bath towel. Lucy only felt a slight chill in her body, and then she felt that the bath towel on her body had been pulled away. This time, her fair and smooth jade back and her tall jade hips were all exposed to the air. She had just taken a bath, her body was fragrant, and she was still dizzy with a hint of beautiful Yuhi. Naruto, don't you think? Lucy looked at him in surprise. At this time, there was a lot of people outside, the game was still in progress, and the cheers from the audience kept coming. No way, this is the lounge. You're going to have a match soon. Lucy said with a sullen face. It's okay, that kind of thing doesn't matter. Naruto said involuntarily. He suddenly reached out and stroked her slender and tender thighs, all the way to between her legs. As soon as he touched it, Naruto pulled out his hand and exclaimed in surprise, "Wow! Lucy, you are not honest, you are already wet." Naruto's hands were sticky and placed in front of Lucy. Lucy was instantly embarrassed. Hate it. If it wasn't for you, how could people become like this? Lucy argued hastily. In fact, when Naruto was using the power of life to treat her just now, Lucy was already uncomfortable, and then being stroked by Naruto's big hand on her back like that, the feeling came unconsciously from below, but it was her hard to say. At this moment, Lucy's body suddenly sank again, and Naruto pressed her on her back. Then, her buttocks were forcibly opened by a pair of big hands. Before she could react, she let out a long moan. Call. Wow, come in, come in. Lucy hurriedly covered her mouth, her face flushed. Just now, Naruto slammed into the bottom directly from the back. How could Lucy bear the feeling of stuff filling her body? And Naruto laughed wickedly, propped up the bed with his arms, and began to go up and down, his body heaving up and down quickly. But, damn, Naruto, don't be like this. My body is so numb. What should I do if I'm found out? She turned back, the expression on her face was shy and anxious, but the pair of the water-like blue eyes are full of charm. Doing this kind of thing in such a place, so exciting, although Lucy resisted a lot, but her body lay there motionless, silently cooperating with Naruto. At this time, on the field, Lotus of the Azure Pegasus has already decided the winner and loser with Elanier. Immediately after entering the next game, the four-headed hound's Vakali will face the sword-biting tiger's Origa. As soon as the personnel of Sword-Bite Tiger appeared, they immediately won the cheers of countless audiences around them. As the number one in the previous sessions, although they were defeated by the Fairy Tail B team in the qualifiers, Rufus' performance in the competition has restored their reputation. Now, in this duel, everyone is looking forward to their performance. Ah, no, I can't do it. Yes, I'm going to lose it. And in the lounge, Naruto and Lucy are having a battle of human flesh. Next is the B team. Naruto brother hasn't come back from the lounge yet. Wendy said loudly. Well, then go take a look, Wendy. After all, it's not good if it happens to be his turn to be late. Urza said to her. Wendy Yian walked towards the lounge. After a while, Naruto, who was fighting with Lucy, suddenly heard a knock on the door. Having already entered a state, Lucy, who was now struggling to groan from her previous resistance, was suddenly awakened and hurriedly covered her mouth. Come on, someone is here. Lucy hurriedly reminded Naruto. Her whole body couldn't help shaking. Naruto immediately felt a burst of pleasure brought by the tightening of her body, and under the accelerated movement, she shot all the essence into her body. Lucy suddenly encountered this sudden and violent shock, and she couldn't help crying out with her small mouth open. Her whole body trembled, and her whole body fell into a climax. 939. Naruto's Battle. At this time, Wendy was still knocking on the door. Strange, big brother Naruto should be inside, why haven't you opened the door for so long? Wendy murmured. If the door hadn't been locked, she would definitely have gone in directly. Because of this, Naruto has unbridled sex with Lucy. Moreover, in fact, he had already set up a layer of barrier in the room. Even if someone outside forced the door to come in, they would be affected by the barrier and could not see the scene in the room. Naruto, Naruto, you bad guy. Lucy gave him a coquettish glance, her face full of wet yuhi, lying under him, panting weakly from her mouth. My bath has been washed in vain. At this time, she was dripping with sweat, and the sheets under her body were already wet from the traces of the two of them. Hey, after this treatment, Lucy, you should have recovered completely, right? Naruto smirked. Naruto, how bad are you? Why didn't you find out before? Really? Lucy groaned, but there was a satisfied smile on her face. Naruto laughed. Okay, Lucy, take a good rest, I'll go first. Naruto winked at her. Well, let's go, cheer up. Lucy turned her head and said with a smile, watching Naruto open the door and leave. Brother Naruto, why did it take you so long to open the door? Wendy said slightly angrily when she saw Naruto who came out of the door. I was dealing with some minor injuries to Lucy just now, at a critical moment. Okay, now let's go to the game. Naruto hurriedly lied, put his arms around Wendy's shoulders, and pushed her away lounge door. Lucy can't be seen by Wendy now, after all, it's not suitable for children. However, before leaving, Naruto also set up multiple barriers in the room to ensure Lucy's safety. Naruto didn't trust the entire Demon Martial Conference and the main messenger of the Eclipse Project, Princess Emerald, but Lucy was a celestial magician, and she also had a lot of keys on her body, and the Eclipse Project was a must. 12 golden keys, so the Emerald Princess will definitely touch Lucy, right? Naruto has no idea what she will do at that time, so it is better to protect Lucy first. When I came to the auditorium with Wendy, I saw a black lightning flash in the field, and the contestants of the four-headed hounds were instantly killed. The tiger biting by the sword is indeed a monster. Yeah, it actually killed the opponent instantly. Naruto listened to the cheers of the people around him, and looked at the Auriga, the Thunder God Destroyer. With a slight smile, today's Naruto has understood the nature of the so-called God-destroying magician. There is a special power in their magic, and that power is similar to the power aura of Jareth, but not the same. Not the so-called power of chaos. Only the power in the turbulent time and space that Naruto comes into contact with is the real power of chaos. However, God-extinguishing magic is indeed a bit higher than the ordinary magic level. However, this is only a difference in the nature of power, and the most important thing for individual strength is the strength and use of magic power. At this time, the two of Origa left the field, and the referee's voice sounded. Then is the last game of the day. Fairy Tale Team B, the Scale of the Snake Heim. These two teams used to be of equal strength, and it looks like it will be a very interesting game. Who's going to show up? Everyone was guessing. The next moment, the host announced the sound. Fairy Tale Team B, Uzumaki Naruto. vs Snake Heim Scale, Jura. Wow, I didn't expect it to be Mr. Jura. He appeared so quickly. I just came to see Mr. Jura. This is really surprising. It's actually a Naruto battle. Urza murmured. His opponent is also a guy who is known as the Holy Ten. As soon as Naruto appears, it's basically a foregone conclusion. Laxus grinned. But the opponent is also the Holy Ten. Juvia said. Brother Naruto, you have to do your best. I'm watching you. You must not lose to that Holy Ten. Wendy raised her head and encouraged. Naruto smiled and reached out and touched her head. Don't worry, Wendy, I will never lose. I really didn't expect that I would appear on the first day. With a faint smile, Naruto's figure flashed, and he leapt from the auditorium into the arena. And Jura walked in calmly. The two stood in a standing position and looked at each other. Both of them looked relaxed, and there was no nervous look on their faces. This is the bearing of the 10th level. Looking at the two in the field, there was a lot of discussion in the surrounding audience. Referee introduced Mr. Jura, who has the number 1 and strongest alternate player, known as the Holy Ten. And also the Holy Ten, Uzumaki Naruto, who is known as the strongest in Fairy Tale. What kind of fierce battle will the two fight? After listening to the introduction of the referee, the atmosphere of the surrounding audience became heated. This is a battle at the Holy Ten level. Jura's name is well known in the whole kingdom. Almost no one knows Akatsuki. He can get a lot of reputation. His strength is naturally recognized by everyone, and he belongs to the absolute powerhouse. And Naruto, although not very famous, and even most people don't know him, but as long as he is a strong man, the moment he sees him, he will have an unfathomable feeling. At this moment, Jura is also the same. And on the other side. After Naruto came out, people from several other teams also paid attention. One of them stabbed with extremely sharp eyes, with infinite momentum. Naruto turned his head to look. It was the black-haired beauty of the mermaid Zhang again. When looking at the past, he clearly felt the girl's strong fighting spirit. Baffling. Naruto turned to look at Jura. Your Excellency Naruto, I really want to fight you once. Jura said, it's just that if I want to fight you, I will do my best. Naruto smiled lightly. Okay, I will follow them one by one. The voice just fell. There was a sudden gust of wind in the field. This is caused by the collision of the momentum of the two. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to the two people's shots, and this momentum alone had shocked everyone around. Even ordinary viewers without magic power can see the powerful strength of the two. 940. Earth Magic. Wow, Naruto has finally appeared. In the audience, Shirley said excitedly with Yuhi, although I should cheer for Mr. Jura, but I can only apologize. Today's final start now. The referee hit the big drum, and the scene suddenly fell silent. Immediately afterwards, before Naruto could make a move, Jura directly stretched out his hand, his magic power surged, and he attacked Naruto. Boom boom boom. The ground in the center of the venue, several huge rock jinchuiki columns suddenly appeared, 2 or 3 meters thick, and slammed into the place where Naruto was. Shijinchuriki column is under the command of Jura, and can turn at will in midair. It is extremely soft, but the whole thing looks solid. There is no doubt that it is Shijinchuriki column. Everyone knows that if they are hit by this, they will definitely hurt. When the surrounding audience saw Jura's hand, they all cheered and applauded. Jura, defeat this fellow, cried their leader, Obaba. Hey, although I always thought that Mr. Jura was very powerful, in front of Naruto, it's really hard to say. Leon murmured. He and Gray have been with Naruto since they were young, and they also have some understanding of Naruto's talents, not to mention that in the mission 7 years ago, several of their Snake-Heim scales saw Naruto's powerful strength. At this moment, all those stone Jinchuriki column had appeared on top of Naruto's head, almost hitting her in the next moment. Sudden. The ground shook slightly, and in the next instant, a wall of earth and stone that was several meters high and 3 or 4 meters wide suddenly stood up from Naruto's feet. Boom! The stone Jinchuriki column and the stone wall slammed together with a loud crash, the rocks shattered and the dust flew. Everyone couldn't help but feel weird. It's earth magic. What's the matter? Did Mr. Jura make a mistake? Or, Uzumaki Naruto can also use earth magic. Naruto does know earth magic. Seeing the surprised look of everyone around, Urza said with a faint smile. Referee also shouted. I didn't expect that Uzumaki Naruto also used the same earth magic as Mr. Jura. Our previous master's data shows that he is an ice magician. I didn't expect to be with Jura this time. In the battle, Mr. does not use the ice element that he is best at, but the earth element. Is he trying to defeat the opponent with this? Oh, it's so exciting. The referee's words also made the atmosphere of the audience more enthusiastic. However, many people who supported Jura couldn't help but be very angry. Mr. Jura, you must defeat this arrogant guy. You are the strongest when it comes to earth magic. Mr. Jura, beat him. Beat him. Come on. The crowd's encouragement came one after another. It seems that the atmosphere at the scene is not good for Naruto. Mirage said helplessly. HMPH, what does this mean to Naruto? A real powerhouse never needs applause. Laxus said lightly. In the field, after the magic of the two collided, the gravel exploded, and Naruto's body was drowned in smoke and dust for a while. Jura rushed forward and stretched out his hand again, and suddenly several stones Jinchuriki column appeared from where Naruto had been. However, no one was hit. A gust of wind blew through, and the dust on the scene was blown away. In place, Naruto has already lost trace. Suddenly, Jura felt a sensation in his heart, and he suddenly jumped forward. At the same time, there was a bang in the place where he was, and a circular earth wall shrouded him. Naruto's figure appeared behind him as he retreated. With a wave of his arm, another semicircular earth wall appeared on the route of Jura's retreat. The two earthen walls are bound to trap Jura inside. Although Jura was not surprised, he simply stood still, and when the two earth walls were about to overlap, his hands clasped together suddenly. Rock Mountain. There was a loud bang, and almost in an instant, a huge rock god of war suddenly appeared behind Jura. The two dirt walls created by Naruto were directly blocked by this rock god of war. Can't get in. Then, he slammed towards the place where Naruto was, and a huge fist composed of rocks slammed towards him. Naruto had long planned to use earth magic to fight. Although he had countless ways to defeat him, he did not do so. With a wave of one hand, a stone Jinchuriki column appeared in front of him. Jinchuriki column suddenly turned into a huge palm. Grab it. Jura's fist was immediately clenched in the palm of his hand. Oh, I didn't expect Uzumaki Naruto's earth magic to be so strong. Everyone exclaimed. From everyone's point of view, the magic that a magician can master is limited. No matter how strong a magician is, he will have the series that he is best at, and Naruto, listening to the introduction, is obviously the strongest in the ice system. But he used earth magic that everyone had never seen before and fought with Jura. Moreover, the most important thing is that Naruto still looks very relaxed, and there is no reluctance on his face. It's really tough. Mr. Yajima, who do you think is stronger, Uzumaki Naruto or Mr. Jura? Jenny, the guest beauty of Blue Tenma, said to Yajima. Well, if I had to say it, I would choose Naruto Uzumaki. Yajima said. Mr. K. Jura is not weak. Jenny defended. Makarov and the first generation looked at Naruto fighting in the field, but they were not worried at all, with a smile on their faces. Makarov himself is a Saint 10, and his strength is stronger than Jura, but he also knows that Naruto's strength has surpassed himself. The first generation is even more direct. With her ghostly body, she can feel the power of Naruto even more. Because Naruto is the sole power of the god of death, I don't know how many times stronger than the first generation in the ghost state. It's really amazing, Your Excellency Naruto. After another magical battle ended, Jura and Naruto separated and confronted each other. Jura looked at him solemnly and said. Naruto smiled lightly. Your earth magic is indeed very powerful, but if I want to overwhelm you with earth magic, I have to show some skills. Your Excellency Naruto, use your true power. Jura said suddenly. Naruto shook his head. I was able to fight you today, not because I wanted to practice against you, but because I wanted to see the power of a real powerhouse. But I know that your strength is by no means at this level.